Welcome to Seagull Eagle, the podcast where two rivals meet, Crystal Palace and Brighton. The rivalry that started as a misunderstanding and never stopped being one.
This week at Brighton, a clean sheet is great, but not one for the other team too. It's another dull performance at home for the Seagulls.
This week at Palace, Glasner shuffled the deck and played the youngsters in the Conference League, obviously to save the superstars for Leeds. But we scraped a draw with KuPs and we scraped the bottom of the barrel at Leeds. Hardly a successful week for the Eagles.
We'll discuss all this and much more because this is Seagull Eagle at Christmas.
Hello, Neil. How are you?
Hello, me old mucker.
You're all right. You're very chirpy. Did you have a nice birthday?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I've had a lovely birthday. My voice is a bit worse for wear because it's been a long week, full of alcohol, parties, weekend, a night away. And to top it all off, mate, I went to the Amex and saw an absolute fantastic game. Oh, no, hang on. No, it was a drab 0-0.
Oh.
Yeah. I have to be honest, though. There was one good moment that I did enjoy at the Amex this weekend. You see this? I'm showing Andy.
Oh, yes. For the viewers, Neil is holding up a scarf.
It's a Brighton and Hove Albion scarf.
Why would anyone want one of them?
That was on my seat in a nice little Brighton bag with a card, a handwritten card, birthday card, from the club themselves wishing me a happy birthday. Isn't that sweet?
Mate, that's a really lovely touch, and I'm not surprised they're giving them away either. That's a really nice touch from the club.
I think they were just happy that I turned up, probably.
Yeah. Well, I think they were probably banking on the fact that you wouldn't, like everybody else, and they'd get it back. Unbelievable.
Listen.
No, jokes aside, that's nice from the club, because I don't know of many clubs that would do that, to be fair.
I was very impressed. So thank you, Brighton and Hove Albion. I'm sure someone is listening from the club, because we get a lot of listeners. So.
Yeah, and I'm to be honest with you, I'm not surprised that the club celebrated your milestone, because not many people reach the ripe old age of 100 and still carry on going.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's all about the alcohol consumption. No, listen, we have a lot to talk about. It's our bumper Christmas edition. We are not here next week for obvious reasons that we just really can't be asked when we're doing Christmas and all that sort of stuff. So we thought we'd get one in today, talk about obviously the games that have just gone past, and have a little bit longer to talk about the upcoming Christmas games, which I think there's about 3 for Albion, 4 for
100.
Palace.
Yep.
100 for Palace. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer episode, but hopefully you'll get your Christmas fix of Seagull Eagle.
And our Christmas present to you is not listening to us for a week
off.
Do you know what I mean? Like, my family would love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a week off from Seagull Eagle. We don't really do it often, but also so many games going on over that period. Whenever we were going to do it, it wouldn't quite make sense.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
So we'll make sure that when we're back, we'll go over and hopefully celebrate the games that have happened. Or talk about them very quickly.
Well, listen, talking of celebrating games, Andy.
Here we go.
There's only one place to start, and that was the 5-goal thriller at Elland Road on Saturday evening. Do you want to talk us through it?
Not really.
Come on. Leeds United 4, Crystal Palace, the last-minute penalty didn't really count, 1. So...
Wow. Neil. the pure delight of you being able to do this,
I know.
It's such a rarity.
I know. I've had such a rubbish couple of weeks. This is lovely. So,
Do you know what, mate? That's absolutely fine. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, talk about the thrashing. Come on.
Well, last time, Neil, we went to Elland Road, we beat them 5-1.
It's not last time, though, is it? It's this time.
So obviously this time was a slight different story. But we should have known it was coming because we've never won back-to-back top-flight games there.
Oh, really?
Ever.
Oh, okay.
No.
Right.
So you do really well, then you do really badly, and so on. But obviously, look, I alluded to this in the intro, and every Crystal Palace fan is kind of, I don't know, staring at a wall, questioning their life, wondering why this happened. But
I've got a few ideas.
We rested the full first team on Thursday, 11 changes, which was a gamble in itself because of the fact that we made 11 changes and pretty much put half the team out full of academy and the rest of fringe. Then the other gamble of it was that it was blatantly obvious who was going to be playing against Leeds. So we gave Leeds a lovely run up on who was going to be playing a good week in advance. They had a whole week to work it all out, and the fact that where the weaknesses would be and all the other bits and pieces.
I mean, to be fair, Andy, it's not difficult to work out who's going to play for Palace anyway. So.
But you say that though, but there are changes that happen. There are the odd bits here or there, and it's Lerma, Kamada, all them other bits and pieces. But I think the fact that he literally played his hand with 5-6 days to go. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. And of course, he made the 11 changes, 5 of which were involved in that midweek second half rescue mission, is probably the best way to describe it, just 48 hours beforehand.
Oh, right? We'll get to that, mate. We'll get to that.
So, and then Leeds, just to kind of put this into perspective a little bit, right? The Leeds that we played are not the Leeds that you would think that we played, right?
What does that mean?
They came into this game unbeaten in 3, right? So
it's
there
fair
are
point.
Leeds on the up as opposed to a Leeds at rock bottom. Does that make sense? And it's no excuse because we should be beating them, but I don't think it's not a heads down team who can't get a win.
No, I get you. I totally understand.
So this is very much a team on the up. Right, let's talk about it. But they are, and we're very much a team on the down at the moment. Right, you don't, mate. Just to clarify, you do not have to stick the boot in. I'm fully on the floor and flailing at the moment.
I know I don't have to.
First half, I think first 15 minutes we were quite competitive, but no genuinely clear chances. I don't think there was much attacking threat from either side. It was quite open play with all of the action coming from set pieces, corners and long throw-ins, as would happen for the entire game, to be brutally honest.
Yep.
It was a game of make a mistake, pay for that mistake via a set piece. Our first scare came from a long throw with Rondon just going wide with his head, and that was kind of the first moment where it was like this might not go well today.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Leeds as well, if you've watched them the whole season, the set pieces, the coming up from corners, like you said, Rodon, Calvert-Lewin, Stack, there's a few of those players that are really good in the air and they're trouble and that sort of thing. So that's the sort of thing you should already be aware of anyway, shouldn't you, really?
Yeah, I mean, mate, we were genuinely poor.
Yeah.
And we were awful. We then instigated quite a nice bit of play, which kind of filled my heart with warmth, Neil, that we were still there, even though it was dwindling a little bit.
Yeah.
Walton did a lovely backhill into the path of Pino. I don't know if you saw this little bit of move, but it was genuinely lovely.
Then on to Mateta,
nice and then on to Nketiah, who then hit it straight at the keeper. However, again, another flick of a coin, that would have been us taking the lead, and maybe the game might have worked out a bit differently. But then on 38 minutes, Leeds took yet another long throw-in.
Yeah.
And Chris Richards ended up providing a perfect assist for Calvert-Lewin, as of course he headed it on, thinking it was going to be a clearance, but he just headed it straight into the path of Calvert-Lewin, such as is the chaos of the long throws, which is why everyone's doing them. Henderson made a superb save, actually, at close range.
Yep.
So we did kind of think, actually, it might be all right. But then obviously Calvert-Lewin then scored the rebound because it just fell straight to him. So when you talk about luck, I'm not saying it's just luck, but if you talk about luck, Calvert-Lewin got a lucky knock-on from us, from Richards. And then not only that, the keeper then handed it to him as well. So it's one of them ones where they deserved it because they were on the front foot. But again, you couldn't write it. You just couldn't write it. No. 2 mistakes back to back. We're 1-0 down.
It was interesting in some respects because I think you're quite right, to be completely honest with you, Andy, and trying to be fair here, actually. Palace were in the game, right? They were
at that point. We were.
Yeah, it was 0-0. You'd got yourself to like 35 minutes or whatever it was. I think it was 38 minutes. Calvert-Lewin scored, and yes, of course, Leeds had a few opportunities and things because they're at home. They go for it, but at that point, even at 1-0, you still think to yourself, well, we're obviously clearly still in this game, and we've got an opportunity here to carry on. And the game up till that point had been relatively even. Maybe Leeds slightly on top, but generally speaking, have been relatively even.
All it would take is a good half-time talk, and hopefully it would have all been all right.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think I could probably speak for every Palace fan here. I think we were all counting down the seconds, praying for that whistle to blow for a chance to kind of reset it all. But of course, I think because Calvert-Lewin spent a lot of time flailing around after getting his head stitched up earlier on in the game, we had a lovely bit of extra time and 30 seconds of stoppage time remaining. Another long throw.
Yep.
Flicked on into the path of Calvert-Lewin, headed in from close range, Leeds 2-0 up.
Yeah.
2 set pieces, 2 goals, Palace wondering what on earth has happened. Because actually, defensively, we hadn't done that bad. But we didn't win the first ball, we didn't win the second ball went in the back of the net. So from a team that were last season in the top 2 or 3 for defending set pieces.
Just about to say that.
Somehow it's all gone a bit Pete Tong, mate. So then the second half comes, Lerma then replaces Hughes at half time. Again, I mean, you're 2-0 down and Lerma's more of a defensive option.
Well, he is, absolutely.
There.
Yeah. I mean, I did scratch my head at that one because when you look at those 2 players like for like, what are you changing in that scenario? Like Hughes versus Lerma, what are you getting that's different? And the only thing I can think of is maybe Lerma is slightly more, like maybe slightly quicker, got a bit more pace about him. Maybe,
a bit more creative with the forward balls, maybe. But
there's not much. Is my point.
Well, and judging on the fact that one of my big observations on this, Neil, was that we, truthfully, and I don't mean this in any disrespect for Leeds. In fact, it's a compliment. We were bullied out of this game.
Yeah,
right.
No, that's very true.
And
I agree.
and so. Which is something, again, that doesn't normally happen to us. And one of the biggest bullies in our team is Hughes.
Yeah.
Right? So he's normally the one that's there chopping them up and, doing the niggles and all the other bits and pieces. Clearly, that was why Glasner played him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just clearly didn't work. Anyway, Leeds picked up where they left off, is the truth, causing us no end of issues with set pieces. Mateta blocked a Leeds effort pretty much on the goal line. That was kind of a warning shot for the third goal.
Yep.
And then on the hour mark, it got even worse, this time from a corner. It's a bit of a change, actually, from a throw-in, which was headed out of the box. But in essence, it's the same situation as the other 2.
Yep.
Ball up in the air, for no one, just away, and basically shot a close range 3-0 leads, right? Not much that could have been done, really, on that one. Obviously, I don't think Henderson had a particularly bad game for conceding 4, is the truth of the matter, because I don't think he really had a chance for any of them. Substitutions were then made. Sosa was brought on for Klein.
Yep.
I think we can highlight the fact that, Daniel, we miss you, Mr. Muniz. So, and I think that's one of the big differences as to pre and post him being injured.
So why is Klein starting ahead of Sosa? Like, I get that it's a different side of the pitch. I understand that. But in the sense of the role itself and what you brought Sosa in for, surely he's your third choice wing back rather than Klein. That's what I struggle with in that sense. Do you know what I mean?
Klein didn't have a bad game the other day, but I think the problem is, though, he's not Muniz, right? And that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
And Muniz brings us so much. Remember what I was saying? Even when Glasner first came in and we had that big upturn at the end of the season before last, and he was the first one to show me what Glasner was trying to do.
Yeah.
And you could see it straight away. And we'd never seen that at Palace.
Yeah.
Covering that amount of ground and creating that amount of havoc from a defensive position.
Oh, yeah, no, he's a perfect fit. Absolutely.
So I think that, he is part of that identity of that team that's missing at the moment. And then you take out Kamada, and then you take into account the fact that our goal scorer has forgotten how to score.
True.
Then there's quite a lot going on here that, there's a bit of that in the 3 positions, it's almost a backbone of a team at the moment. Anyway, we digress.
Sorry, so you're, let's just count that up again. So 1, 2, 3-0 down now.
Yeah, we're 3-0 down.
Yeah,
I can understand why you forgot, because you are getting a bit old now, so now you've had your birthday. So do you want me to write this down for you as we go in? Are you all right? Sosa on for Klein, Devaney on for Nketiah.
Yeah.
And Devaney has had impact in every game that he's come on, and he's doing really, really well. So fair play. Understand why Glasner speaks so highly of him.
Yeah.
And Uche came on for Mateta. So Leeds kept coming. Palace were wobbling all over the place. A very unknown territory for us. And I don't mean to say that in a braggy way.
No, it's just
Palace
it's
fans
not been the
aren't
way, is
used
it?
to seeing this.
No.
We're not used to seeing the team with a head down and in a game that pretty much you can't come back from. Henderson made a great save 3 minutes later before Lerma and Gay pulled off yet another goal line scramble, right? So we could have been 4 or 5 down by now.
Yeah.
Then in the latter part of the game, we did have a few chances. There was a little bit in that last 10 minutes of the game where actually we did feel like we were in this, but it was a little bit too little too late. Uche missed from what I thought was a really, really good position, actually. Pino's shot deflected wide. And then on 86 minutes, something special happened because Pino was substituted and replaced by Drake's Thomas, a name that a lot of people wouldn't have heard of up until Thursday night. And at 16 years and 194 days, he became Palace's youngest ever Premier League player.
Wow, that's so amazing.
We have had debuts lower than 16 and 194, but they were all in the Championship. I don't know if you remember the days where we didn't have a choice but to play the academy team because we had to sell all our players because we were going into administration.
Yep.
So that was and then obviously I think it was Uzar was the guy that was the previous record at the age of 17.
But this kiddie, Drake Thomas, I mean, he didn't let anyone down, did he?
I'm quite excited about him.
16.
I'm quite excited about him.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
What were you doing at 6? Actually, don't answer that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, put it into perspective. He's 3 years older than my son.
Yeah, amazing, isn't
it? Who was stood there watching him, and you're like, how is this a thing? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, as the game went into stoppage time, it was far from over. Uche had a one-on-one with the keeper. Uche went round him, and that was then obviously brought down.
Yep.
Legit, right? Second time this has happened in a week, but he actually got it this time. Devaney then stepped up calmly and gave me vibes of Wembley.
Yeah.
Even at 3-0 down where we were currently, with Devaney stepping up, and the way he did it so as a kid, right? Bearing in mind this kid's only just come out of the academy.
Yeah.
And he stepped up so calmly and just I would give him that ball for that penalty any day of the week. I really, really would. So he sent the keeper the wrong way, did brilliantly, textbook. So obviously then we, 3-1. Devaney grabbed that ball as if it was doable, right?
Well, I mean, it was 91st, 92nd minute. I think that was by the time it actually went in, and I think there was 11 minutes of injury time. So,
yeah.
I mean, you did have 8-9 minutes left probably by the time that actually goal went in the back of the net.
Yeah. Then he also had another chance a few minutes later, which I really thought was going in, hitting the post with a header. So Lerma crossed it in, and then he was literally in that perfect position and really brave, headed it in, and it just hit the post.
Yeah.
Harder to hit the post than not, really. As I said, we kind of finally had the momentum, but just such a huge mountain to climb.
Yeah.
And I guess, well, we tried to climb the mountain, but we just slid all the way down it. Borna Sosa mistimes a slide tackle, brings down the Leeds player near the Palace box. Did you see this one?
I did indeed.
Yeah, that was a bit messy, wasn't it?
It was very messy. Yeah.
But I mean, it was genuinely obvious that it was outside of the box.
Yeah, I mean, the ref giving a penalty, I think there's a reason for that in some respects. Because if he gives the penalty, then VAR, the game stops, and you don't have to worry about anything. You can just stop, wait for the VAR to check whether it's in the box or out the box or whatever. I mean, as you said, though, I don't think really we needed that. It was very obvious it was outside
we didn't
the box.
with the cameras.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess when you're sliding at that pace and you end up in the box, then
true.
you don't quite know where the issue happened.
So, yeah, outside the box, and, that's okay then. At least it's not a penalty.
Well, it might as well have been. It might as well have been. In fact, I probably would have taken my chances on the penalty more than that.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Because once again, Neil, for the fourth time in this game, a set piece. And our wall, which I think had 3 men in it, they all jumped up as if they were at a kids' party. With not a care in the world. I think it was Borna Sosa who, I'm pretty confident, actually got out of the way of it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a lacklustre wall, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Pretty confident. He bent his head, maybe trying to get it, but it didn't. I don't know. I think that's what a wall's there for. And I mean, look, fair play to Leeds. It was a great free kick.
Yeah.
And hit the top corner, 4-1 Leeds. I haven't endured a game like that in a very long... I think the last time I endured a game like that was when we lost was it 5-1 to Newcastle after our 5-0 thrashing at Man City? Do you remember when we get in 11 goals in a week?
Yes, I do. Those were the days.
This is what I'm scared about, Neil, because we tend to do this. We go on a great run, stability. We let it all collapse for a couple of games.
Okay,
and
look.
then we pick it all back up again.
Well, look, talk to me. Like, conclude this off, right? Give me a summary. What happened from your point of view? Why do you think you lost 4-1?
Well, you can't blame tiredness, truthfully, and fatigue because we didn't play the same team. Although we did play 5 of them in the second half who played half a game. So, I mean, you're still playing 90 minutes in a week.
But I know, I get your point.
I think what people forget is everyone talks about fatigue and the amount of games and the toll it takes on the players' physicality, right?
Sure.
Which is a legit thing.
Yeah.
But I think what people forget to talk about and underestimate is, let's say, for example, if Palace had a week to prepare for this game, as opposed to 48 hours, which it's not 40 hours, it's because you've got to sleep in that time.
Oh, yeah,
right?
a lot less,
So, in essence, it's probably one afternoon's training session.
It is, yeah.
We get one afternoon's training session to look at them and how they do their set pieces, to look at the tactics, to look at the intricacies, the weaknesses, all the to get on all of that. And I think that's potentially when we're talking about the way that Glasner plays and the tactics and all the other bits and pieces. I just think that I think the only choice when you got games coming this thick and fast is to play a generic game as opposed to a tailored game.
Yeah,
right?
Fair point.
And I think that's potentially what's happened here. That we've got a team out who, could cope with it, but they just weren't good enough and they didn't play well enough. Why? I think it's the first game we've lost this season where it was genuinely a poor performance. We should not have won this game. It was appalling.
Yeah.
And we just didn't compete, right? Leeds wanted it more. They bullied us all over the pitch, right? And that's not, again, that's a compliment to Leeds. And they were so much more physical. They won every duel and every second ball pretty much.
Yeah.
And that is a very un-Palace thing to let happen. If you look at the stats, we got 9 shots to their 20, 3 shots on target to their 8, passes completed, right? 284. They had 327.
Yeah.
They were all over us. Palace have now failed to win a league game after a Conference League game. 7 out of our last 8 games.
There you go. That's the one, isn't it? That's the stat, in my opinion. That's the one that we all talked about at the beginning of the season. And that's this is not having a go at Palace. This is a age-old issue for any club in Europe where you have to try and play, in particular, Thursday weekend. And this time, don't forget, as to all the listeners out there that are on the Brighton side, they had a Thursday game, Palace, and they didn't play Sunday. They had to play Saturday night.
Yeah.
And that in itself is obviously a problem, and we know it is. We talked about it for the last few weeks when we talked about it.
Fail, aren't you?
And
it's
but at the same time,
and then you get 48 hours and you have to travel up to Arsenal for a semi-final game, quarter-final game. Sorry.
But at the same time, those are the rules. Everybody knew that's what's going to happen. If you're successful, that's what's going to happen. The thing that's created this, or it was more of a surprise, let's say, is the fact that you've got the League Cup game. That's the one that's really scuppered your normal plans. Otherwise, you'd be playing on Sunday and you would have a free week this week and then you'd be playing. So the fact that you've been successful and you've got through to the quarterfinals of the League Cup, the issue then goes back to...
It shouldn't be a punishment, should it?
No, but it is because you haven't got a big enough squad.
Well, you talk about squad depth and all the other bits and pieces, but again then you start looking at FFP and all that and go... Can every team in the Premier League then have a squad the size of Man City?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is the problem. And it's not like, again, I don't want to go down this route because that's actually not what this is about. And hopefully, potentially the Brighton fans out there might appreciate the fact that I'm not crying foul on this one. I'm genuinely not actually.
I can see that. I think
what I am saying is it's actually our first genuinely poor performance, very un-Palace-like. And we didn't deserve to win that game. But also, I can't call anyone out and go, they were awful. Do you know what? Sometimes you turn up and sometimes you don't. And I always believe that 9 times out of 10 in that Premier League, the team who wants it more gets it. And Leeds wanted it, right? So I think that's now us down to 8th, right?
Yep.
In the league. Obviously, it's a big drop with the top 3, because obviously we were sat in 4th. So the top 3 now looking like they're breaking away with obviously Villa winning again now. There is, I believe we did say this just before Christmas, there would be a bit of a breakaway.
Yeah. So the top three now, Villa in third on 36 points. And then you're quite right, Chelsea 7 points behind now.
Yeah. So now we're talking, and obviously that fourth place is obviously still up for grabs, right? But and hopefully will continue to be if everyone keeps on playing dismally around us. But yeah, we're 3 points from fourth. And obviously the only thing that's cheered me up, cheered me up is that obviously 2 points more than Brighton. And I believe you're sat in ninth. So, how far you can fall so quickly in a week. Yeah,
and look, props to you for saying what I think is fair thing to say, which is that Palace just didn't show up.
Mate,
but as you say...
You can't hide it.
No, and as you say, look, sometimes... teams just don't show up, and that was your day. You know, the worry or the concern will be is if this continues, because obviously you've had 2 losses back to back in the Premier League. The last one, totally different game. So this is the test now. You know, you've got another busy week ahead of you, and you've got Premier League over the Christmas period.
Neil, what can possibly go wrong? We seem to be conceding every set piece. In fact, I'm pretty sure all the goals we've conceded over the last 3 games, pretty much 90% of them were set pieces.
Well, next up, you've got a really easy team to beat on set pieces.
This is where I was going to, which is what's the best place to go when you're in this situation? The Emirates. God help us all, my friends. God help us all.
Oh, yes!
So now that I've cheered myself up, Neil, and discussed Palace's dismal game,
cheered me up.
I watched your Brighton Sunderland highlights.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched it, and I rewatched it again, and I've still failed to see any highlights.
You're about right.
Much to see.
You're about right.
So, Neil, cheer me up and tell me all about how Brighton failed to beat a Sunderland whose half a team is over in Africa at the moment.
Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Sunderland 0. Not very often that we get a 0-0. Brighton. It's just one of those things we don't get very often in our neck of the woods, mainly because we're terrible at actually defending goals, especially this season. But yeah, 0-0. It was a poor game, mate. It really was. Sunderland, to be fair to them, they came with a plan, as we always knew they would do, as I was talking about last week. Let me start with some lineups. So I think that does go a little way to sort of explain maybe some of the form that we came into. So we had no Dunk, right? Suspended.
Yeah.
No Gomez, suspended. Then we
naughty,
had...
That's why.
Sorry?
They'd be naughty.
Well, exactly, yeah. Understandably suspended for 5 bookings each. Then we had Welbeck suffering a back injury, and they've been nursing him the last few weeks.
What's happened there?
Well, so he's been on the bench and coming on, and we just thought maybe he's a bit tired or whatever, but no, apparently he's suffering with a bit of a back injury, and it's been something that he's had over the last few years, but I think it's flared up a bit.
You see, that does make perfect sense now, Neil, because I'll be honest with you, I was genuinely,
we've been talking about it, haven't we?
It's not the first time we've questioned your manager, but I was genuinely absolutely perplexed as to why he wasn't starting some of them games.
Exactly.
So that actually does make sense.
Yeah, exactly. So
get well soon, Danny. just in case he plays for England.
What it meant for the lineup was that he wasn't in the squad at all, which was a shock. I was expecting him to be on the bench again, but no, totally rested. So then you think to yourself, we don't have any strikers now. Like, Simas is injured long-term, as we know now, ACL injury. Welbeck's now short-term injury. And lo and behold, you can dress it up how you want. Jorginho Rutter is not a striker. He's a forward. Yeah, he's a 10. He's maybe a right-sided winger. But he's not a striker. Do you know what I mean?
How in all of your clubs' intelligence and systems that you use and foresight that you kept telling me you had that we didn't, have you ended up in a situation where you've not got a striker, Neil? Because you bought every player there was out there to buy from very random countries.
There has always been, anyone that listens to me, and there's not many, but anyone that listens to me, there is always areas in Brighton's squad over the last few years where I don't know why we don't fill it. Like, there's always been that. For the last few years, it's been a right-back spot, right? We haven't had a right-back for years. We've had Joel Veltman and then anyone else filling in. That's basically what it's been feeling like for the last 5 seasons, it feels like. Striker is another one where we've had Welbeck, obviously. Before that, we had Ferguson, we had João Pedro, and a lot of people would argue that João Pedro isn't really a number 9. He's in and out of it, but, he's not what you would call a classic striker. Ferguson's the only one that you'd look at and say he was always the plan, I think. He was always the plan to take over and be the number 1. But he hasn't turned out like that. He's gone off to Roma and he's done okay, but not brilliant. So it's always been the problem. And I think the ACL to Simas has been the biggest issue. He was just starting to get into the team. He was getting his feet. So look, we go into this game on Saturday without, therefore, Welbeck, without Simas, obviously, as well. Then we find out that Van Heck is sick. He was ill on the day.
Oh.
So that now suddenly means we've got a totally different centre-back pairing, where we were expecting at least Van Heck to be there. So now we've got Boscagli and Coppola starting as our 2 starting centre-backs. Matoma back on the bench, and Tommy Watson finally back on the bench as well. So the bench was starting to look a bit better, but obviously you were a little bit worried. You see 2 brand new, fresh centre-backs starting for you. But to be fair to them, they did all right, as the 0-0 will show. So first half, mate, wow. I think I could just press play on my previous episodes of this podcast for this season so far, but I think this half, considering who we were playing against and what their plan was, I think this half of football was probably our worst so far this season. It was really poor. No penetration whatsoever. Sunderland just sat back, low block, as we knew they were going to do. Albion did try to sort of entice them onto them by playing out from the back and really playing slowly, hoping that Sunderland would trigger some sort of chase down or something. But they just didn't do it. Sunderland was so well drilled, they knew what they were doing. The odd occasion where we tried to hit it over the top, but when we did, the quality just wasn't there. The pass was go awry. More often than not, if the pass was good, our control, oh my God, it was unbelievable. Really, really bad. Literally nothing was happening. And I mean, actually, you said you saw the match of the day highlights, right?
Yeah.
I looked at them today, right? The first piece of highlight on match of the day for that game, after they show everyone shaking hands, they go to the game and it goes 42 minutes.
Yeah, no, I noticed that.
And that probably answers it. 42 minutes before there was a little bit of a nice turn from Minte coming into the box, and he sprays a ball across the box, and there's no one there. Well, of course there's no one there. We haven't got a striker on the pitch, right? So we've got Ruta playing as a striker, theoretically, and he's just not got the instinct for it. You've got Gruder behind him. There was literally just no figurehead, no presence up front at all. And although at the back we were pretty secure, Sunderland did have a few chances throughout the first half, and that was mainly because obviously we're pushing up, we're trying to encamp into their half, and they try and then break quickly. So there were a few opportunities for Sunderland, which is why when you look at the XG and the shots and all that sort of stuff, that's where their chances have come from, a lot in the first half. Now, there is one particular mad sequence right near the end of the first half where I think Sunderland had 2 really quick opportunities, one after the other, to go ahead and score. And this was mainly through our own poor concentration again. Bad control, poor concentration.
The back pass?
Yeah, there was a back pass.
Mate.
There was a trying to play out. There was all these sort of like, oh my God, what are we doing? And it just really summed up the first half. Do you know what I mean?
But your keeper, once again, kept you in this. I think that you'd be sat firmly down the bottom end of this table if it weren't for your keeper this season.
There is no doubt that Bart Verbruggen is definitely our player of the season so far.
I'd say that from the outside looking in terms of contribution to points earned or not lost. I think there is no one that has done better.
Absolutely.
And I think the only other thing that I'd like to say at this point is getting a point from Sunderland still feels like an underachievement. But
yes, no, I know what you mean.
It's not.
It's really not.
Because I know they've got loads of players that have just gone to AFCON, but this team that I watched at the start of the season at Selhurst Park, they're no pushovers in any way, shape or form. They're organised, they know what they're doing, and this is a team that are actually in the thick of it, actually, in that pack, chasing for that 4th place. So I think, yes, you look at that game on paper and go, Brighton, we should have been all over them.
A lot of teams are doing that this season, aren't they?
I think the point being, actually, is that they'd be looking at you at the moment going, that's a game to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if I was trying to be positive, which it's not in my style, but if I was trying to be positive, I would say last season, that game, we'd lose 1-0. It's that sort of game, but we the low block, they beat us on the counter attack, sucker punch, and we've lost the game 1-0. So we did keep a clean sheet, and we were relatively controlled at the back. Sunderland didn't create too many really obvious chances unless we created them for them. You know, look, almost get to half time, and as I say, we gifted them 2 really good chances that probably they should have scored at least one of them. Weaver at right back. Now, he's had really good games, but this weekend he was really poor. Simon Adingra, obviously our player from last season that we sold to Sunderland, he started and he had a whale of a time against Weaver. Like, it's just, Weaver hasn't got the flexibility, the agility to be a right back, in my opinion. Like, he's too much of an oil tanker. He's tall, he's leggy. Yes, he's relatively quick, but the agility to be with a short little striker that has, can move and twist and turn just doesn't happen. And he's caught out. And he had a really poor game on Saturday. And that was really sort of nailing the coffin, because at half time, Joel Veltman came on for the second half. So everyone realised, even the manager, thankfully. And poor Weaver had to sit out the second half, and he probably did him a favour, to be honest. He was probably having nightmares about Adingra from then on. So the first 5 minutes of the second half, Sunderland have a really good chance. And this, to your point about Bart Verbruggen, is where he kept us in it, right? Save of the day. A chance for Alderete, a header, really close range. Verbruggen somehow manages to get an arm up, pushes it onto the crossbar.
That was a great save.
It was a really good save. And again, it's another one of those that he's starting to pull together a nice library of these saves.
I mean, I counted 3 from the highlight reel.
Yeah. I mean, he was man of the match, and he's been man of the match a few times this season, which is not good enough for us. A goalkeeper shouldn't be man of the match. It's true, though, isn't it?
You're absolutely right.
You know you're doing something wrong if the goalkeeper's man of the match.
You're absolutely right.
Apart from that one opportunity for Sunderland, the second half, though, I have to be honest here, was a lot better. They'd obviously had some words in their ears. They got a lot more control. Now, it might be because Veltman was on the pitch. He's a calming influence. He knows his position very well. He knows where to go, where not to go. He's much cleverer in the sense of he's got a much more game sense. He knows when he can be kicked at. He knows when he can be tripped over, all that sort of stuff. And I would say that apart from the odd breakaway for Sunderland, the second half was controlled very well by Albion. Now, being in control of the game is very different to winning a game. And again, they were passing it around wonderfully, and the intensity levels and the energy was up, certainly. But when you think about the players on the pitch, we had one particular player that I need to mention, right? And that is Yassin Ayari, midfielder.
I know what
right?
you're going to say.
Well, they didn't create many chances, right? Yassin Ayari alone had 4 really good opportunities in front of goal, and 3 of them he skied over the bar.
I was going to say, if he had a different shaped ball and it was a different game, he would have had a cracker. But but do you know what I attribute to that is that, Sunderland played you, right?
Oh, yeah.
They played you.
Of course they did.
Why did he have a bad game? Why was he skying everything? Because you were resulted to long-range shots, right?
Well, one of them wasn't. One of them was literally in the penalty box.
Okay. Yeah, that one inexcusable, Neil. But I think that generally speaking, the others were him trying to create something out of the fact that he didn't have the space to be able to pass or beat the man or whatever it was.
I agree.
Of the way they were playing and the way they'd been set up. So, and I guess this is the troubles that Palace have had potentially in the Conference League recently.
Look, I agree. I understand what you're saying, and Sunderland had a very big part to play in this result, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm here talking about Brighton, and what I would
want to
say,
celebrate Sunderland. I want to say, well done, Sunderland, for being organised, for scaring Brighton.
What I would
and for
say
testing the keeper
is that Yassin Ayari, come on, man, seriously, come on. You're getting into these positions, right? So for a start, well done, gold star. You're coming into the box late. You're in the right place at the right time. Okay, brilliant. But come on, man, seriously. And also, the other issue that I have is there were a couple of things at the end of the game, right? Did you see the tackle? Well, Kostoulas came on the pitch. He started to play well again. Interestingly, they moved Gruder over to right wing. So they took Minte off, left Gruder on the pitch, which, not sure about that. But still, he played better on the right wing, in my opinion, Gruder. Put Kostoulas back into the middle behind Rutter. And Kostoulas again, really looking good when he's coming on.
Yeah.
And I think he's pushing for a start. But there was a tackle late on in the game from Ballard on Kostoulas. I don't know if you saw it. It was a high leg right onto the shin. And if you haven't seen it, I took a picture, right? Look at this for a picture. That is the point of contact. Look at that.
Difficult to say if that was the point of contact though, because the next frame could be a lot further down. I mean, I'd say that's a yellow card.
Shut your mouth. That is a red card all day long.
That, Neil, is clutching at straws.
I'm not having look, Brighton didn't deserve to win the game. I'm just saying the inconsistency sometimes with tackles like that, I think are really bad, right?
No,
we had a couple this weekend. The one for Tottenham, right? Xavi Simons, very similar to that, with less intent than that, and he gets a red card. That is a yellow card, apparently. Look, there were lots of things that went on in that game that were a little bit suspect, but ultimately this is Brighton's fault for not winning this game. It's not a bad result because it's 0-0 against a side that are playing relatively well.
And
yes,
a side that are above you. You got
agree.
a point off
I know.
a side that are above you.
And I think, honestly, I think the game ending in a draw was a fair result. I honestly do. I do. You know, in the cold light of day, when you look at it, you say to yourself, okay, fair enough. In summary, right, so look, there are a few things. Positives, I'm trying to be positive here. Coppola, Buscagli, they looked assured, right? A clean sheet for a new partnership, first one in the league for them, for both of them. That's fantastic. Verbruggen, as I mentioned, yes, continuing his fantastic form. And Kostoulas looking promising, right? And he's pushing for a start, I think. And we may see that in the next couple of games. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts the game at West Ham in a week's time, a week and a half time. Negatives. Brighton, really, really poor in the first half again. And I don't know what's going on. We have not started games very well this season on the whole at all. And I don't know what's happening. They've got to look at that. Like, it's a really strange how we get to half time, we come out the second half and we do okay. So what's happening in the first half? What are we doing? How are we setting these players up? No striker. Obviously, that means no central point of attack, right? And we are getting to January the 1st, and I haven't seen any transfer rumours about a striker yet, but surely we've got to go in for somebody because we are missing that presence. We are missing something in the middle that will gel everything else together. We are creating the odd chance, but ultimately, we aren't creating perfect chances. So therefore, we need someone who's a natural striker to get on the end of half chances, you know, someone that could create something out of nothing. And we've just not...
Welbeck.
Well, exactly. And we're just not getting that. A couple of notes here that I've got on here. I've got a very long list of negatives, unfortunately. Gruder, Brajan Gruder. He's a good player. He's lovely on the ball. He's calm. He's assured. All that. Yeah, absolutely. But the last few weeks that he has started playing, actually starting in the starting 11 or coming on, he slows Albion's attack down by holding on to the ball too much.
Yeah.
He holds on to the ball too long. There's an obvious pass to move the ball along. He doesn't take it. It's like he needs to do a trick every time he has the ball. It's like he has to prove his worth every time on the ball, you know? You know the kid we used to play with at school that all he wanted to do was have the ball quickly so he could do something fancy?
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it's like with him at the moment. And it's a shame because he's clearly an incredibly talented footballer, but he needs to learn to play in the team, which I think at the moment is a struggle for him. And the other thing I wanted to mention, because you mentioned a little bit about it the other week and I didn't know about it, but this time, at full time, Andy, there were boos. There clearly were boos at full time. Now, there was a lot of a different opinion around me with the different guys that I sit with, right? And there was a bit of consolation saying, well, why are they booing? We played all right in that last half an hour. And it's like, We did play okay in the last half an hour. The first hour, the first 45, 50 minutes of that game, we were horrendous. Now, it's difficult, obviously, on one hand, if you want to be supportive to your team. And to be fair to the fans, they waited until the final whistle. Well, there was no booing during the game. Everyone was trying to support. They were singing. They were trying to get behind their team. But at some point, you have to have your opinions heard. And I think the booing was just that. I think it was a real frustration with the way that we're currently playing. And yes, probably more to do with the first half than the second half. So 2 points from 4 games in December so far. And I know you've probably got a stat about Albion in December because I mentioned it last week.
Well, do you know the last time that you won a game in December?
Is it pre-war or post-war?
It's absolutely insane.
Go on.
So it was on the 28th of December, 2023.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So Fabian Hersler still hasn't won a game.
Was the last game you won?
Yeah.
Do you know what that was?
I haven't, mate, no.
Brighton versus Tottenham.
Oh, that would have been, crazy game that was. 4-2, was that?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So that's 10 matches now
Yeah.
that you haven't won a game in December. And it's hilarious because we're nearly at the end of December now. And that'd be lovely to roll that one over. And can I just say that if Brighton are booing their own team after getting a point off a team that are above them in the league,
Yep.
and Palace cheered and clapped their players at the end away at Elland Road after losing 4-1. I think you need to take a look at yourselves.
No, not at all, mate. You don't say that. That's in isolation. You're just saying about one game. Palace have been playing well all season. Correct?
Mate, you got a point.
And you just sat here and said...
You got a point.
You just
booed.
sat here and said... They're allowed to have one bad game, Palace.
Yeah, they are.
And that's the attitude you've got because they've had one bad game.
Yeah.
Brighton haven't had one bad game.
But mate,
Brighton have played terribly for most of this season.
I don't know.
They've had spurts in and out where they've scored goals and the results have been hiding the way we've been playing. And that's what the booing's about.
I think it's about managing expectations.
I agree.
For Brighton fans.
I agree. But
Because
our
where you
expectation
are-
is
Yeah.
different. And that's the thing. We've been sold an expectation. We've been told this is what we're doing, this is what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
But again, if you take away the expectation of a league position, right?
Yeah.
The expectation is that we play nice football, that we play entertaining football. And ultimately, all I really want to see is players with a blue and white shirt passing to each other. That doesn't happen. Like, they were so poor on Saturday in that first half.
Yeah.
Again, I'll say it again, Andy. It's the way that we're playing is the frustration. And that's where the boos are coming from.
But the reason I know you take an umbrage at that, and I understand, Neil, because it's a touchy subject, but
because you keep going on about the fact that it's about, look at who you're playing, look at the result. It's not about the result.
Well, no, what I'm questioning is like, what are fans going to achieve by booing their team after getting a point? Regardless of how you played, you didn't lose that game. What do they hope to achieve? Because
they're showing people that they don't like the way that we are playing football.
Right, so it's Hersler out then, is it?
I'm sure there are people on Twitter, there are other people that are saying, I've had enough. I've had enough of this manager. That is clearly what people are saying. Now, that definitely isn't the majority yet. Okay, all I'm saying is on Saturday there were boos, audible boos at the end of the game. And you're quite right,
time.
we got a point. We didn't lose. And yet they were still booing. So put 2 and 2 together. That's not booing because we got a point against Sunderland. That's booing because we have been poor in the way that we have played over the last probably 8, 9, 10 games. You know, it's not been great, mate. It really hasn't.
I know. I don't know. It just feels a bit not right. But
I think fans are allowed their opinion. And
they are.
The difficulty is, how do you voice your opinion?
Well, generally just booing doesn't particularly...
So what do you do?
It doesn't assign any kind of proportional blame onto anybody.
It doesn't. It just says we're not happy.
Yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah.
I guess maybe someone needs to... do you know what I would prefer, actually? I would prefer a letter from a fan forum or a well-organised rally.
I don't a T-shirt.
Just so we understand
placards.
Exactly what it is the general population are not happy about.
I don't think we've got to that point yet. But what I would say is, as I've said the last few weeks, there are growing concerns and there's a growing number of people on social media that are starting to have enough of Fabian Hersler's style. because they don't know what the style is. And it's pretty clear at the moment that the team don't really get it because it's not gelling. It's not happening. Do you know what I mean? It's really not. And the results are masking a lot of that, I think.
Mate, it could have been worse. You could have lost 4-1 to Leeds.
See you after the break.
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I will be in trouble.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you've opened all your presents if you're listening on Christmas Day. I'm sure people will be listening to us on Christmas Day, won't they?
Why would they do that?
What do you mean? It's perfect Christmas listening.
They've got things to do.
The whole family listening to us while they,
I always think people listen to podcasts like when they're in the car or when they're walking the dog.
like
or
solitary moments.
they're decorating or like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit like listening to the radio, isn't it? You kind
I
of,
suppose.
I wonder, it'd be interesting to find out. Maybe we could do a survey and
tell
find
us.
out what brings them to the level of pain to listen to our pod. And what do you have to be doing at that time to be doing it?
Interesting. So, you had another game this week, didn't you?
Well, we always do. We always do. We always do.
But this was a rather important game. This was the Conference League, and we probably all know, but let me just be clear on this. This was the last game of the group stage of the Conference League, and as we spoke about last week, if you won, you'd be straight through to the top 8 of the Conference League.
Yeah, I think if we won with a good enough goal difference,
Yeah,
I think that was the caveat to it.
But come on, against the little Finnish side, KuPs, how did you get on? 4-0, 5-0, what was it?
Well, I mean, firstly, can you please do more research before you join me for a podcast if you don't know what the score was? And
The fact that you even asked that shows how little you've paid attention to me over the last few weeks. I never do research.
And secondly, you've got to take into account that we played our B team. Well, in fact, probably worse than our B team. It was our fringe players and our academy team.
That was such a big surprise, though, don't you think, really? After everything that Glasner has done over the last few games in the Conference League and the league, kept such a long wait to get to that point where you need something from the game, and then he changes it to the kids.
Well, do you know what? I think it's a bold move, one of which nearly came off up until the Leeds game. But I guess there's that thing, isn't there, which is that if you're you can make a decision to go, we'll worry about that later. And I feel like that's what Glasner has done here. Every Palace fan that I know went, oof.
Yeah.
Why did we do that?
It just seems counterproductive because by drawing, obviously headlines here, I'm sure everyone knows what's going on, but by drawing, you've created more games for yourself.
We've got a home and away game, yeah.
It's like, what?
Home and away.
I
guess another game revenue for the club, help the transfer kitty.
But it was strange. Of all the games to pick, that just felt a bit of a strange choice. Anyway, look, I'll leave it to you, mate. Talk me through it a little bit.
Well, I mean, yeah, as you were saying, I mean, we haven't done this the easy way. And let's be honest, we haven't done this the easy way from the start.
No.
In fact, we're not even playing in the competition we qualified for.
Oh, don't start that rubbish again.
And then we had to qualify for the competition we didn't qualify for. And then we decided that we now would have to qualify for the next round. I mean, Palace basically are the equivalent to driving to Scotland via Cornwall. Do you know what I mean? We like the scenic route.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess, do you know what? Do you know what they say on TV? It's all about the journey. And it's no fun if you do it the easy way. So
you're definitely not doing it the easy way.
When the Netflix series comes out, you know, Palace soaring their way to Conference League glory, and make a so much better series, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, that's true. That's true.
So, look, I don't know, find a positive from somewhere. Look, I mean, the irony of it all, and I think Glasner won't like this because obviously he decided and told the press that, and we talked about this earlier, he played his cards early, right? Yeah. And he said the same 11 will not start against KuPs that will start against Leeds. So, and then 24 hours later, the lineup for KuPs comes out. So Leeds are like, well, that's the team then, because that's the only other people left. I think Glasner has been forced into this in some, but no, he hasn't. He didn't have to do this, and actually, if he hadn't, what would actually have happened? Potentially a couple more injuries.
Yeah.
But I don't think we would have lost worse than we did anyway, 4-1. But I think when you take into account that we've now lost Kamada on top of like Muniz, and then we've also got a couple of other people injured that, like, don't forget we're paying for Czech Decore, Chadi Riyad. There's a lot that we haven't even talked about this season because they've already been out. So I think that he had to do it, and also don't forget academy players can play in the Conference League.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So it makes sense, and clearly Glasner knew something that we didn't, which is that there were. There was 4 academy players playing, 3 of which were making their debut. Right.
Okay.
And he obviously knew something that we didn't, which is that these kids are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So
Surprised he hasn't played them more, though, before this, then, if they're that good.
I mean,
just felt weird.
It's quite a big jump, though, when we'll talk about it later, but to stick a 16-year-old into Premier League...
but I meant in the Conference League. Do you know what I mean? Like those other games that you had at home in the Conference League.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't change the team more. In that sense. Yeah. But yeah, look, go on. So who are the players that played?
Well, we had 16-year-old Joel Drakes Thomas, who actually became the youngest Englishman to play in the Conference League ever. Yeah. In fact, the youngest Englishman to play in the third tier of European competitions, I guess, is probably, it goes beyond the Conference League, if that makes sense. He's a left attacking midfielder, for those that don't know. And I'm incredibly excited about this kid. We'll talk about him a little bit more later. We had Dean Benamar, who's 17, and he's a left wing back who I think also plays as a left back for the academy team. And he is a bit of a talent as well. I liked him. And George King, 18, defender, he played on the right side of the defence. He fitted in perfectly to who did we have? We had Lerma and we had Canvo in that back three. So he didn't look out of sorts. We'll talk about kind of how they got on really, because I think that's probably the thing to focus on here.
Sure.
Obviously, Lerma played in defence, which also gave him the captain's armband.
Right.
And I did think to myself as I was stood there, we were amongst the Homesdale fanatics again, and it was a bit of a hostile environment at some points during that game.
Sure.
But I did think while we stood there on the Homesdale tier, whether what Lerma would be thinking that he's been selected for the B team and he's the adult amongst all of the rest of it, and he's got the captain's armband. It's not really a privilege, is it?
Babysitting.
Exactly. The other thing to note is that Uche made his first start for Palace. And I'm quite happy about this because obviously we're seeing his worth now. And I'm not one to punish Mateta because you go through a run of form, he's had a fine run of form, which lasted a long time. Yeah. I feel like maybe it's time for him to sit on that bench a little bit and give someone else a go. But let's see. First half, strong start from Palace, and the young team settled in well. Benamar produced a really nice early bit of skill, and it was lovely because I was like we drove up there, we saw the team sheet come out. And then me and my son had this big conversation about how excited we were to see these young kids in the team, because being a Palace supporter, that used to be a thing because we had to, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because we didn't have the money to buy people. Like me growing up, it was like, Zaha breaking in at a really young age, Mitchell being forced to break through, like them kind of players appeared because there was necessity for them to appear. Now we've got the best academy that we've ever had, and it's up there with the best of them, but we haven't seen anyone come through it. Deveni's come through it, but we haven't seen anyone really in the recent, like this year, end of last year, to go, who's the next Zaha?
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's always lovely when you see one of your own, as it were, come through, because that's what anybody wants in the whole team. You want to feel that connection to the club by seeing someone that's come through. And by rights, they get so much more support as well. You give them more time. You give them
mate,
you're behind them from the word go, aren't you?
it's wonderful. And you're stood there on the stands. Everyone's behind these kids, and you know damn well that their mum and dad are sat there, their auntie and uncles, and it's like a big occasion for them. This is what they've dreamed of.
So you were impressed by that Benamar, was he?
Yeah, I liked him. I did like him. He got subbed off. He was one of the people that kind of had to make way for the adults to come on and try and salvage it. But I don't think he wouldn't have got subbed off for the reasons of he didn't play well.
No.
He was just a casualty in
Tacticals,
that.
yeah.
And again, George King, I liked him. I liked them all. So yeah, he produced this lovely early piece of skill, Benamar, on the left flank, and he kind of beat a couple of people. He kind of cut in. It was lovely to see, and he was playing right in front of Glasner, right in front of him, and Glasner was cheering him on and, you know, really positively applauding him when he was, you know, brave enough to take on adults from the Finnish league, right? These are big. These are kids versus men, right? So yeah, and that was a lovely thing out of that whole game. Actually, early on, there was no catastrophe that had happened yet, and it was like, oh mate, these kids are good, and everyone was behind them, and it was just a really nice feeling. And then just after 5 minutes, Palace took the lead, and Devaney played in a really clever pass to Uche, who turned the defender. And then bent what could only be described as a wonder shot from the outside of his foot. So he had the option to cut in, and he went, nah, I'm going to bend it from the outside of his right foot straight into the top corner. One of the best goals that I've seen for a while.
It was a beautiful finish. Any goal finished on the outside of your foot, curling it with the outside of your foot, is special. But the nice thing about this, I go back to a few weeks ago when we were talking, I think it was the Wolves game or whatever.
Oh, the camera angle.
The camera angle. You had the camera angle for this goal as well, where when Uche hit it, it was perfectly behind him, so you could see the bend, and it was nonchalant as well. Like, it wasn't like he didn't whack it really hard. Nonchalant, outside of the boot, curl it around the keeper. Thank you very much.
And it wasn't just about the fact that he curled it from the outside of his right foot. It was more about the angle that he was at when he curled it.
Yeah, totally.
The curl that he got on that ball from that angle was remarkable.
If he'd missed that, everyone would be going, why the hell didn't he use his left foot? The fact that he scored it, everyone's like, wow, what a goal.
Mate, he's got it in him. I promise you now, he's got it in him. And the only positive that we've got is that we've still got him. And that he's not gone out to AFCON. Then we had chances from Sosa with a nice cross from Drake's Thomas, who was chucking them in there. And Esse shot wide just after a nice bursting run.
Yes, I saw that.
Obviously, I was sat 15 rows back behind the goal and the Homestay end, right? I saw a frustrating angle to Esse's game.
Right.
I watched him lose the ball a lot, taking on people and getting tackled a lot. When I watched the highlights back after the game, because you only see a different angle, don't you?
Sure,
the goal. When I saw the highlights from after the game, and I even actually watched the full game again, actually he had a better game than I thought he did.
And also, playing where he's playing, the type of player that he is, like the Pinot role, the Eze role, whatever you want to call it, right? He's going to lose the ball. His job is to take on a player. His job is to be dangerous. His job is to risk things. So there isn't those types of players. It's like me when I was talking about Gruder earlier.
Yeah.
Those types of players that are playing in those positions, they're going to be more risky, and they're probably going to lose the ball more than other players because it's their job to try and risk something. You know what I mean?
No, look, I absolutely get it. It's just frustrating to watch.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And I think, I had a go at Eze about this, and I think the Arsenal fans are starting to realise that Eze's not, coated in magic, that actually he does a lot wrong. Eze, not hating on you. I think it will come good, mate. As the halftime whistle went, we were 6th in the table, Neil. We were 6th in the table.
To win a game.
All going to plan.
Yeah.
I went to go and get myself a drink at halftime, listened to lots of people that were all talking about how wonderful Drake's Thomas was and how great it was to see the kids playing. I was thinking to myself, Glasner, why did we doubt you? It's all good. And also, KuPs, this Finnish team, they were awful, mate.
Yeah.
They were absolutely awful. There was no threat whatsoever, right? Second half for us, in my head, was going to be focusing on goal difference so that we could cement that place in the top 8.
Totally get it.
And just keep away from trouble, or at least I thought it would. Then, ironically, it was KuPs who scored the next goal out of... I mean, honestly, I've seen some funny things happen at Selhurst Park, but this is up there. The only thing that can relate to this is when Larnaca scored, because it was a very similar situation. All over them, and then they get the ball, first time anywhere near our box, and it just bloody goes in. And I, honestly, I mean, it was one quick run into the box, the KuPs player played it into their striker, in.
Yeah.
And the defenders all looked at each other and went, what happened there? And then everybody in the stadium went quiet. Like, everybody just went quiet. And I just remember, I just looked around at everybody. And bear in mind, I'm not sat in my season ticket. Well, you stand in Homesdale, really, but I'm not where I normally am because we got like a temporary ticket for the European games.
I know.
So obviously, I don't know the people around me. So I normally have a bit of conversation or whatever. But we all just stared at each other, complete strangers, as like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely shocked. And I genuinely believe that the players did the same thing because it's not the same game.
It's a shell shock, isn't it? It really is.
Honestly, absolutely shell shock. And no sign of it. It was their first chance at goal. KuPs took advantage of this situation.
Yep.
Palace players clearly in shock too. Benitez punched the ball out from a corner, right?
Yeah,
and
I saw
then
this.
The ball coming straight back into the box from a KuPs player, deflecting off of Cisse, their big-ass player, to give them a lead, right? So 2 goals in 3 minutes, Neil. 2 goals in 3 minutes. Absolute madness from nowhere.
Yeah, I agree. It was from nowhere. It was a real shock. And I suppose at that point as well, it's like you start to think to yourself, is this just meant to be? Do you know what I mean? Like, when they've just come out of the blocks, nothing's happened, and yet suddenly we've conceded 2 goals.
But they didn't even come out of the blocks, Neil. This is what I'm trying to say to you. As in, like, this is why it was such a shock, because they didn't come out of the blocks. They had one moment of one of their attackers going, I'm going to run the ball for 3 metres, I'm going to pass it to someone. And then he got it in, and then all of a sudden, this crazy corner situation happens, and you just got 2 ridiculous situations.
Yeah.
And mate, then it got worse because we're all like, hang on a minute, we're now losing 2-1, potentially might not even make it into the playoff bit of the draw.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, like we're all Selhurst Park's now gone into what can only be described as doom and gloom. And then we're sat there, and then a 3rd goal goes in. A 3rd one goes in from close range. No one sees the offside flag go up.
Yeah.
And thank God someone in the stadium's like, oh, it's offside. And obviously then everyone's like, okay, don't worry. The VAR it go. And obviously then the goal gets ruled out.
Yes.
But within about 5 minutes, they'd nearly scored 3 from nothing. And they were still playing like absolute dog poo. Like, it wasn't good. It still wasn't even pretty or good or anything. They just somehow managed to get the ball in the back of the net for 3 times. Anyway, 30 minutes to go. But between them scoring that goal and the last 30 minutes of the game, it started getting a bit hairy. And obviously, me not normally sitting with the Homesdale lot, there was... I haven't heard the C-bomb being used in such free-flowing ways and in such creative ways.
Really?
For quite a while. I think my son's learned a whole new language. And because obviously Glasner stuck with the hand that he dealt, right, for a very long time.
Well, yeah.
And I was wondering when the changes were going to come. When's that bugle going off? When's the cavalry coming in?
Yeah.
Right? And it took until 30 minutes to go for Glasner to shuffle the pack, bringing on Hughes, Gay and Mitchell with the hope of turning things round.
Sure.
Then pretty much straight after that, Hughes got taken out by Antwi and got a red card. So... Obviously, Antwi got the red card, not Hughes, for a change.
I did see this. I mean,
and that was pretty much actually the same tackle you just showed me from your game.
There was a lot. To be fair to this one, there was a lot more force in this one. It was a strange tackle though, because he got the ball, but he went so high after it. It hit Hughes like in almost his knee. It was ridiculous.
This was one of these ones where the referees aren't meant to do this, but we all know they do, right? He let that guy off 2 or 3 times before that.
Okay.
Right. So the ref knew what his game was.
Yeah.
And so therefore that red card, I think, was heavily weighted by what had happened prior to it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
and
it was a clear red.
It was deserving of a red,
Yeah.
but he didn't even hesitate because he was like, right, I've had
You've
enough.
had enough.
Now.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So there we go. Anyway.
So look, 10 men.
Surely we can't
2-1.
now lose to 10 finished
There, exactly.
men.
Yeah. You could win this from there.
Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
No, not really.
But don't forget, that clock is ticking down, Neil, right?
Yeah, because he was sent off, actually, it was a bit later than that. He was sent off in the 73rd minute.
Right.
So he really only had 15 minutes plus injury time then.
Yeah, 15 minutes per injury time to get technically 2 goals.
Yeah.
3 minutes later, Palace got the equaliser. Mitchell with an epic cross from the left wing.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you bring on the likes of Mitchell and Gahey into that game, you definitely do see their quality.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
And Devaney headed home 2-2. It was a great header. And that kid is grown in confidence, right?
He's had a good few weeks, hasn't he? He's had more game time and suddenly it's starting to show a bit more.
Oh, and isn't it funny how like he was playing with the likes of some of these youth kids only well, funny enough actually, at Leeds, he, believe it or not, has played 50 Premier League games for Palace.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe that?
That's quite a lot.
Devaney.
That's interesting.
50 Premier League games.
Yeah.
Time carries on, my friend.
Blimey.
Yeah, anyway, we move on. 15 minutes to go. Glasner played his final hand, and I did wonder when this was going to happen, bringing on Mateta and Nketiah, right? So by this point, KuPs were defending deep, and it was one of them really frustrating situations where 10 men now behind the ball, they weren't interested in playing a game anymore.
No.
They were like, we've shut up shop.
Yeah.
So obviously Palace were throwing everything at it. Both Nketiah and Devaney having really good chances actually in the dying minutes. But I think in them last 5 minutes, I'd settle for the fact that this was going to be a draw. I couldn't see us getting through it because they just shut up shop.
You just had too much to do, didn't you?
Anyway, we finished the day in 10th place, 10 points from 6 games. Not quite the romp, Neil, that you had told me this was going to be. And
Should have been.
we now need to play a 2-legged playoff, as we've discussed. What are the details of that? It'll be on Thursday the 19th and Thursday the 26th of February.
Right.
So, and I believe that the latter will be the home game. So, because obviously the seeded team, which ironically, failure, we now get seeded in this because
Yes.
we're the higher of the two. That 26th of Feb will be a home game. So we've got to win the overall 2-legged thing to get into these rounds of 16. It will be either, so we know that one of these two teams, it will be, and the draw is on the 16th of Jan. So we'll find out on the 16th of Jan whether, are you ready for this?
Yeah, go on.
We are going to play HSK Zrinski Mostar from Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Right. Okay. I mean,
Or,
go on, who's the other one?
I mean, if there ever was a sign in this day and age
Yeah.
of a team that's going to knock you out of the Conference League,
Yeah.
this name strikes a bell to me.
Does it?
SK Sigma. Right? SK Sigma.
And where are they
the
from?
word that all the kids are using at the moment. SK Sigma from Czech Republic.
Right.
So
Okay.
I believe they've come, I think like 24th, 25th, something like that. So because of where we were,
Yeah, you
and where
played
they
top
were,
versus bottom.
So
Yeah.
so look, technically speaking, we should be able to make our way through this, right?
Yeah.
We know that. The problem is now is what do Palace not want? Another game. What do Palace really not want? Another 2 games. So now we have added to that ridiculous run. And bearing in mind, don't forget, right? You got FA Cup coming up now as well.
Yeah.
We're still in the League Cup.
Oh God, yeah, you got a lot going on.
It's gonna be horrific. Okay, so what was my biggest takeout of this game, right? Because I think the one thing that we can talk about here is that I guess we're not out, right? We're not out.
No, totally not.
And we're still in it. And
You just made it so bloody difficult for yourself again.
oh, mate, I know, but I'm looking at the positives. Drake Thomas, right?
Yeah, good point.
As I said, 16-year-old. And do you know what? Here's the stats. He created the most chances of anyone on the pitch.
Did he?
In that game. A kid, right? He completed 100% pass rate and 100% dribble rate.
yeah.
unleashed 3 shots and 7 crosses into the box. He won 100% of his tackles. He also created 2 big chances more than anyone else on the pitch. Right? That's a hell of a debut.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that a 16-year-old kid in his debut, playing his first game, Europe, he was schooling the senior players and saying to them, I want the ball to my feet. I want the ball to my feet.
Yeah.
Like, you could watch him doing it and he's like, I want it. Like, there was no shyness about the fact that he was wanting to make a name for himself. And actually, he had total control of that game at points when he had that ball. So my question is he the next Zaha? That's the question.
I mean, 16 years of age to be given the chance and to be good enough, and as you say, made the Premier League team as well. Like, he's obviously a talented kid, and you've just got to be careful with him. You've got to be careful. You've got to find that balance between giving him first team football from time to time, keeping him interested, because the other thing with him being 16 is, professional contracts and things like that. You've really got to keep him sweet until he's 18, otherwise someone might nick him.
No, of course they would. Of course they could. And I mean, he was then put on the bench for Leeds too, which was nice. But Glasner has said that he's not going to fast track him into the first team, proper as of yet. But let's see, because I've got a feeling we might need to. And obviously, look, George King, he was in the, as I said, he was in the back three with Canvo and Lerma. Didn't look out of place. He won 100% of his aerial duels, which is something that couldn't be said against the first team against Leeds, and was putting lots of balls into midfield. Actually, up for the strikers, which I really, really liked. And as I said to you, Ben Amar, the 17-year-old, he had 90% pass accuracy, 100% tackles. He had 4 attempted dribbles in dangerous areas. Like, all of their stats were really good. Yeah. So, ironically, better than the B team and the fringe players that they were playing with. Yeah. So that just shows you maybe we do need a couple of young kids in there to give some of the others a bit of a run for their money.
Totally agree with you. I think that always helps. I honestly think that freshening up the squad with young, hungry players will always help.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right, lovely.
2-2, but not a disaster.
Not a disaster, but not ideal. Like you say, it gives you 2 extra games, and they are, at least, like you say, nearer the end of February. So a lot of things will be done by then, like AFCON, January transfer window. Maybe you'll get some more players.
Well, early chances. We got asked about this, and Glasner said that it's all looking like it's looking good for January.
Right, enough talking about Crystal Palace. Oh no, hang on. We've got to talk about games coming up now, and they've got like 700 of them, haven't they? What's next for Palace?
4 games in 9 days or something.
Yeah. But what's the next game?
Arsenal. In a competition you're not in, which is the League Cup.
Oh yeah, because Arsenal
quarter-finals.
Arsenal kicked us out, didn't they? Otherwise, that would have been a hell of a quarter-final.
It would have been. So, in essence, tomorrow night, as we're recording now, Monday night.
Tuesday, 23rd.
So, this time tomorrow, as we're talking, this game is happening. And it's going to be difficult, this. It's going to be difficult.
Well, that's brilliant punditry, that one.
Well, it is.
Of course it is. It's Arsenal.
Yeah, but even more so, given the fact that, as we said earlier, we've decided now as Palace that we just cannot handle a long throw-in or a free kick or anything. So I feel like the backbone is kind of, we got a bad back, right? And we're struggling. So obviously we're coming up against Eze. It's at the Emirates. I mean, look, let's be honest though. Arsenal aren't on the best journey right now.
What are you talking about?
Well, no, as in they've still got their weaknesses.
They haven't lost in the Champions League. They're top of the league.
Yeah.
Where are they not on a bad? How are you trying to polish this turd? What the hell are you on about?
I just think that they're still beatable, mate. They're still beatable.
Well, yeah, obviously they're beatable, but you can't say they're in a bad run.
I'm not saying they're in a bad run.
You just said that.
Did I?
Yeah, you said, they're not in a great... What do you mean? They're brilliant at the moment.
Yeah, they're brilliant, but they're not the finished article. They're not the finished article.
All right, come on then. Just talk me through it. I know that... Arsenal have got a few injuries, haven't they?
Well, Gabriel, Havertz, Ben White, Mosquera.
So there's a few problems at centre-back. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
if only you had a striker that was scoring goals.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they put their B team out. That'd be nice.
It would be nice.
They won't though.
They probably won't. It's the quarter-final.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be honest. and I'm not, like this from the FA Cup run. I was all positive and all that, but I am a little bit worried about this.
Well, you know what's going to happen, don't you? Come on,
Eze's going to score in the 91st minute. 91th?
91th.
Yeah, in the 91st minute,
91st.
Eze's going to score again because obviously he's the one that scored last time.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, this is a carbon copy replay of the game that I went to the Emirates to see last year in the same competition, same time of year and everything. We went 1-0 up and ended up losing 3-2.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Look, this is a big ask, and obviously it's a big ask, and the winner plays a two-legged game against Chelsea.
Oh, is that the draw, is it?
Yeah, in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's our reward? 2 more games.
Well, yeah.
So, I don't know. Look, I would look at the moment, Neil.
Yeah.
This game and winning this game is our best chance at silverware this season, right? That is quite, as it stands right now, statistically.
Yeah.
Like,
You got less games, yeah, absolutely. I get you.
so can we pull it together? Yes, we can, because last time this happened where we lost badly, as said, it was Man City, Newcastle, and then we went back on a run which lasted for a very long time.
Okay,
so
look, we got to move
mentally,
on. Give me a score. What do you reckon? What's or a prediction at least? What do
I'm
you
not going to do it, Neil.
No, you're not going to do it.
You've refused to do this. I'm going to.
I've refused to do it because Brighton are ridiculously unpredictable. Palace are not that unpredictable.
Hang
yes,
on.
they've had a bad week, but generally speaking, they're not unpredictable.
Yeah. I mean, I think we are unpredictable now because, as I said, no Sarr, no Muniz,
Yeah,
no
fair point,
Kamada. This is not. Like, this is difficult now, Neil, because the style and everything has been affected. And, mate, Mateta's not scoring goals,
No, fair
right?
point,
So
fair point.
this is the issue. I don't know, mate. I've just got a feeling I'm going to sit there with my Christmas jumper on and my Santa hat on tomorrow night at home and watch this. And I've got a feeling I might be down in some mulled wine to make myself feel better afterwards.
That sounds like a good idea.
I just don't, I want it to happen, but I've just got a feeling that it might not.
I might pop round and watch it with you.
You're not invited.
We got the Premier League straight after Christmas, haven't we? So we swerved the Boxing Day fixture, but who have we got? So Brighton have got a game first on the 27th.
Yeah, you're playing Arsenal.
We're playing Arsenal straight after,
and that fits perfectly because you're away at the Emirates as well.
Yep.
And you don't win games in December, and that fits quite nicely with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not an easy game. I'm going to that one as well. I've got a ticket to the Emirates.
Nice one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually. My first time ever going to the Emirates. I've never been for some reason. I've always
Mate,
missed it.
I hate to say it, but it's a nice stadium. You'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Well, I may not. I might enjoy it before the
No,
kick-off.
I'm talking about the actual facilities. You'll enjoy the facilities.
Yeah, I'm not holding out much hope for that one. So that you're quite right, Andy. That will probably be another 0 points from December for Brighton. Palace. So after the Arsenal game, they play on the 28th.
Mate,
So
we practically got a holiday.
yeah, like a whole 4 days in
4
between.
days in between games.
And where are you? You're at home.
We're at home, Tottenham, which I'm going to.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're really rubbish at the moment.
I'm hoping to get 3 points out of that. I'm hoping that one will be the one that rights our wrongs.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got West Ham away on the 30th.
Yes, in the midweek. So 30th, West Ham away. I mean, that's our one golden opportunity to win a game in December. It's our last one as well. But of all the games that we're playing, you look at that and you go, that's the big opportunity, isn't it?
I would absolutely love it if you draw that game.
I don't even think we'll draw it. I mean, the way we're playing at the moment, you think also you compound it by playing 2 days rest in between playing Arsenal. Like, he's going to have to change the team somewhere. He's going to have to make a few changes. So then the question mark is, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I honestly, at this moment, mate, and I hate to say it, Merry Christmas, everyone, but I'm not expecting any points from those games at the moment.
One thing I have learned over the years is that anything can happen over Christmas.
That's a very good point.
People start breaking away at the top.
Yeah.
People start getting...
there are some strange results, you're
left
right.
away.
Yeah.
Because it all comes down to squad depth. It comes down to who's actually giving their players time off and let them eat a Christmas dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of travelling in a very short space of time. All the European teams that all the teams that are playing in Europe are all start having a nightmare because they're all tired. So, I don't know. But, I mean, I actually do think you might get a win at West Ham, which would annoy me because that's still in December.
Well, after that, we play on the 30th. Then 2 days goes past, and on the 1st of January, you then play your next game, and that's Fulham.
Yeah, and that's at home.
Oh, that's at home as well. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. Tottenham and Fulham at home.
Yep.
That's opportunity, isn't it, really?
It is an opportunity, and I do think that we might win that one. I'm actually really annoyed because I can't make it to that one. I've had to sell my tickets. Do you know what? I put them on the resale thing. And got an email to say, thanks for selling the tickets back to the club.
Sure.
We'll let you know if anyone buys them.
Yeah.
And I got another email straight away to go, they've been sold. Like 4 seconds they were being. Yeah, that's how keen people were on New Year's Day. I think that's a thing though, isn't it? Going to
New Year's
football on
Day.
New Year's Day.
Yeah,
it's a gutted
dead day,
that
isn't
I
it,
can't
always?
go, but we're busy.
We've got, you play on the 1st, then we play on the 3rd of January. We've got Burnley at home, which is finally an opportunity to get some points on the board, I would say there. I think the one thing I would say about all of this Christmas period, right, is some fans were booing against Sunderland, right? We now got Arsenal, let's be honest, probably won't get anything out of that. West Ham, if that goes wrong and we don't get anything from that game, we go into Burnley on the 3rd of January. It's a big if because it's Burnley and they're not very good. But if we don't get anything out of Burnley, or even if we draw against Burnley at home, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a bad run of results.
You don't really sack managers though, do you?
We don't. And that's my concern, that I don't know. Like, it feels a little bit like if we get through to Burnley and we haven't got a win and we don't beat Burnley, I mean, the fans aren't going to be happy. There's going to be a lot more empty seats. And I don't know whether Barber and Bloom are going to accept that.
Well, maybe they need to do that thing, don't they, where they explain why they're not happy. Write a nice letter. Go for a march.
Who have you got before I get into that argument again?
We got Newcastle on the 4th. That's away.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Right to the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, mate. Yeah.
I mean, by then, you don't even... Half the problem with this as well, like, you don't even know how many players are going to be fit. You know what I mean? Like, so many games in that period, that's going to be a tough one.
Well, annoyingly, I'm pretty confident, and I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident that no one who's injured it will be back before any of them games.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So, I mean, when does the transfer window open, Neil?
January the 1st.
January. It actually opens on the 1st.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed that what I've heard and the rumours that I've heard are true, and that when we come back, we might have some announcements to make.
Really?
That'd be lovely.
That's exciting. That's very unlike Palace.
Well, yeah. Let's see. I've heard that there's some deals that are being touted down as done.
Okay, cool.
So let's just see. I'm excited to have. I'm excited about bringing the transfers back to this pod.
Yes,
I think it's going to be good fun. So just very quickly then, before we wrap this up, Neil. Christmas, festive. Thank you very much. You got 3 games: Arsenal, West Ham, Burnley. How many points do you think you're going to get over the festive period?
I want 6. I'd be happy with 4.
I was going to say, I think it's either 6 or 4.
Yeah.
Palace. So
league-wise,
let's exclude the Arsenal ones, because by the time this comes out, it's pretty much going to be done.
I agree. So Spurs, Fulham, Newcastle.
Spurs, Fulham, Newcastle. I optimistically thought we were going to get 7 points out of that. I actually think it's going to be more like 6.
Do you? Okay. I mean, that's quite positive. And like you just said yourself, it's like, are we going to see the same lineup? Are you going to have loads of injured players by that time? The chances of you signing a player and them starting on the Newcastle game, but you're still going for 6, yeah?
Well, I've got to, Neil, because what's the alternative to that is that you just have a look at that, right? If you don't get your 6 points, and we lose 2 or 3 of them games, we're down the bottom, mate. You will slip down that league so quick over this festive period, right? So we'd be sat in 15th, 16th, sort of. It's not good, man.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, there's a lot of jokes going around, which is that by the time we get to Christmas, we'll be sat in our customary position of 12th.
Yeah.
And is this what's going to go? No, it is not what's going to happen.
Love that.
Neil.
So love that.
Because we're still above Brighton, and we will continue to soar our way up the league.
So saying all of that, just to be clear then, so Seagull Eagle misses next week because it's Christmas and New Year's, and we will be back to review those games and talk about everything that happened over the Christmas period. Week beginning the 5th of January, we'll be back in the studio to record a new pod.
Hear, hear. And that is it for the last episode of 2025, by the way, for Seagull Eagle podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Please make sure to follow the show so you don't miss the next episode in January when it drops. And we'll be back, as I said, in the new year to review all the festive games for both clubs.
You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook and X. Just search Seagull Eagle and get the conversation started.
You can drop us an email at seagulleaglepodcast@gmail.com too, if you would like.
And a big Merry Christmas from Neil and I, and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Seagull!
Eagles! Ho, ho, ho.